Hi guys, good morning. Is it morning? Oh, it's afternoon. Hi everyone, good afternoon. I hope you guys are doing okay. Um, so today has been a very rainy day in the city of Abuja, and this is of course the rainy season. And I just want to let everyone up here to know that we are always here to assist you with all your real estate needs. Any question, inquiries, my numbers are always here. So my name is Anita, your realtor, like you already know. And today I want to talk about something. When investors, first time buyers, when you talk about location as a factor to consider when you want to buy real estate, a lot of people will say, "Oh, it's not really about the location. It's not really about the location," and I completely agree because I know that a real estate investment is not really about the location. Yes, location is important. You have to look at what's happening in that particular location. You want to look at the projections, you want to look at the statistics, the data, before you consider buying in any location at all. Hi, thank you for joining. But there are other things also as an investor you would have to um, consider when you want to invest in a location in Abuja, in Nigeria, or anywhere at all. The first thing you will have to consider is the infrastructure in a location. Um, and this is a factor because most developers try as much as possible to create the infrastructure around their properties, especially in Abuja. Some of the locations in Abuja, Abuja is developing outwardly, and some of the locations that are opening up at the moment, the infrastructures are also, Hi guys, thank you for joining my live. Thank you. Please comment and tell me where you're watching me from. Tell me where you're watching from. So as I was saying, Abuja is developing outwardly, and anyone that wants to invest in real estate currently, it's supposed to look at the infrastructural, progression, the growth, and all that. Because if you buy a plot, or you buy a house, or you invest in a particular location, if there is no infrastructure there, at least there should be a sort of assurance. There should be a plan by the government to at least put infrastructure in that location, because if the place is accessible enough, then the value would appreciate. You know, if the place is um, if the place is safe, the place have access roads, if it has recreational areas, if it has commercial hubs, these are some of the things that help the value of properties to appreciate. So when you even security, yeah, security is also part of the infrastructure in a location. So if you're investing, you should always look out for some of these things, because these are things that adds value. You want to look at the the density of that location. You want to look at the geographical stability. You want to look at how the place fares, especially during rainy season. Yeah, especially during rainy season, most locations will be prone to or flood during rainy seasons. So if you buy during the dry season, if you're buying during the dry season, or you're planning to buy during the dry season, you should also try to get data on how the condition of that location would be. But it's usually, is during the rainy season, because these are some of the things that also make your investment not to be attractive to people, especially if you want to buy and resell, or buy, build and rent it If the place is flood prone or some other natural disasters happen in those locations, then people may not want to live in that place. So your investment will be probably redundant, not yield enough return for you eventually. So infrastructure is very, very important. And also if you bought a land in this type of location, you find out that in a very long while, your property may not appreciate because if people are not moving there, if people are not going to put their money there, then your investment is not going to have value. If those places don't have access road, they don't have, they are not secured enough, they don't have good water supply, if they are flood prone, then you will likely not get high return on your investment. And also, apart from the environment where the your project or your investment or your land or house is located, the estate community to where you're buying, you also have to look at what the plans of the developer is for the estate. What is the developer promising to deliver or to give? How does the developer want to make that place habitable for you and your family? If you are buying to hold, if you're buying to build, if you're buying for commercial purpose, does the developer even have plan for commercial this thing project in that estate? So these are questions you have to ask. These are things you have to know. Do you want to live in an estate that does not have internal road, does not have security, is not properly fenced and secured? Does the developer have plan of putting electricity, water, some of these things, even drainage and sewage system? You have to ask these questions because if you buy a property and you plan to live there with your family, if the developer is not dedicated and intentional about putting these infrastructures in place for you in your estate, I can assure you that your return will be very slow or you won't even have return at all. In fact, it may just be a bad investment. Imagine buying a property in an estate and then you can't even drive home. The internal road is bad, there's no security, you don't have good drainage system. You come to the estate, you see abandoned buildings. Even when it comes to construction inside the estate, you should be able to ask certain questions when it comes to development. The duration or the development plan of an estate also adds value to that project or to that investment. For example, some developers buy, sell, and then they allocate. But most people they allocate to are not ready to build. You are ready to build. What is the plan of the developer to make sure that when you come into the estates, you're not going to see bushes and then you see houses way inside because the people that were allocated before you or closer to the entrance or close to the place where people can or people that are close to the roads are not building when they are supposed to build. So you have to get the timeline of the development in that estate. And also, when an estate develops like that sequentially, it adds beauty. Whatever infrastructure developer puts in that estate, it will look beautiful and it will make estate attractive for a secondary buyer, for anybody to even come and live there. So infrastructure is very, very important, and I can't even act like I can go on and on about the infrastructure of a location. And also on the side of the government too, you also want to know as an investor what the plan of the government is when it comes to a particular location that you really want to invest in. What is the plan? What's the property use? Some people, I don't want to go into due diligence because, of course, when you want to invest, you have to do your due diligence. It's through that investigation that you will understand what the purpose of the particular property will be. Some people get allocations and they what they got approval for or what the land use for is for. It could be for commercial markets, it could be for hospital, could be for church, it could be for school. But because they went through the back doors to get it changed, they may not be in alignment with what the government, the plan of the government for that particular area. And this can actually become a problem later in the future. So you want, when you are doing your due diligence, you want to understand, okay, what the government approved, is it exactly what the developer is doing or is building? That way you won't have to, you know, get into a situation where you're building, or you finish building your house, or you've already paid for the land, and then come and hear something like, oh, revocation, demolition, like we see and hear, around us in the city of Abuja. So land use, and also, hi guys, thank you. Welcome to my life. Thank you so much. Please, if you guys are enjoying this my life, be giving me thumbs up. Oh, give me thumbs up. And also don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe. So, as I was saying, infrastructure is very, very essential. Infrastructure is something that when the government when the government is involved in the infrastructural development in a particular area, it helps investors it helps build the confidence of the investor. For example, now let me use Idu as an example. Idu has the industrial part, and Idu also has the residential part. And all these places have also seen infrastructural development from government as far as road. Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. Welcome to my live. Welcome to my live. Please let me know where you are watching me from, and also give me a thumbs up if you're enjoying what I'm talking about. So Idu, the infrastructure in Idu has been done, and this has also given developers the confidence to move to those areas. And it do, just like I said before, it do has the industrial, and then it has the residential part. It do is a home to a lot of institutions like Bayes University. There is Nile University there. There is EFCC headquarter is there in Idu. The FMC is there in Idu. What's the name of this place again? Council of Benchers. Yeah, the place where they do cultivar this thing is also in Idu. And then it's also a home to a lot of industry, like factories that are into production and manufacturing. So this is the reason why the infrastructure there is top notch. And also, there's something I also want to say now. Just imagine that the government decides that, okay, um, we're not going to do the infrastructure in Idu. Do you really think Idu is going to suffer? And for me, I don't think Idu is going to suffer, because there are industries there, and the government does not even build. The industries will build because they actually do their businesses in those locations, and they will not want their businesses to suffer due to lack of infrastructure. But nonetheless, the government has created this enabling environment, and these are some of the things that adds value. And also, there is a train station in Idu, which also makes the place, very commercial. And there are so many other estates on the residential parts. Like, if you visit Idu, you'll be amazed at the level of estate development that is happening there currently. And this has been happening over the years, but somehow people don't really make a force of it. People don't usually, it's not all over the place, or it's just gradually developing. It do has been consistently developing on its own. You know, it's a very, very serene environment. It's very cool. It's a place where you can have children, raise your family. It's well secured, very accessible, and it's also well connected. It is connected to Life Camp, Gwarimpa, Kado, Jabi. Lube, even Lokogoma, Galadima on the other side. So very much accessible, secured, serene, it's not loud, it's not noisy. So if you're someone that wants peace of mind, a place to call home, it is a place you have to consider. And so I think I've said a lot about infrastructure. Yeah, I've said a lot about infrastructure. So let's see. Hi guys, welcome to my life. Please tell me where you're watching me from. Where are you watching me from, guys? Comments, 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 comments. Let me know where you're watching from. Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Thank you for joining. No, you should not mind me. Oh. So, hi guys. Thank you for joining. Thank you for watching. This is your girl Anita. So, like I always say, if you have inquiries, have questions, you're looking for opportunities in Abuja to invest and you plug, always reach out. Call me. My number is always here. Call me, reach out, and we see how we can help you. To make sure you invest wisely and you get verifiable real estate listings in Abuja. Thank you, 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 thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. I really do not know how to see. How do I see comments? I don't know how to see comments. So. Hi guys, welcome to my life. Welcome to my life. Welcome to my life. We're talking infrastructure today. Oh. We're talking infrastructure today. Today has been a rainy day in Abuja, and there's some locations you live in Abuja. When it rains, you're not scared. You're not. You are not scared. And then there's a kind of house you live in. When you rain, you're not also scared of your roof going off. You're not scared of your roof going off because it's built properly. That's why you have to buy from reliable developers so they can give you value for your money. You know, that's why you have to consider infrastructure in and around your investment. It is very, very important because it's infrastructures that also attract other people, other investors, attract business people to come and buy from you or live in that location. Welcome to my life. Please let me know where you are watching me from. And also, please, if you have questions, ask me questions, real estate, anything that is real estate, I'm here. Ask questions, please ask questions. People should ask questions. Welcome to my life. Please ask me questions on anything real estate. Please, if you have inquiries, if there's something you've seen somewhere you want to get clarification on, please comment. Ask your questions. Today we're talking about infrastructure as one of the factors you have to consider when you're thinking of buying real estate. we're thinking of investing in real estate infrastructure, which is what we are talking about today. So, welcome to my life, guys. Questions. Okay, let me put what questions do you want? Hi guys, welcome. Um, I'm trying to do this question and answer thing. So guys, yes, please, this is Q&A on real estate. So ask me any question on real estate. Let's see. Welcome to my life. We're talking about infrastructure as one of the factors to consider in real estate when you want to invest. So please ask your question, I'm here to answer. Welcome to my life. It's Q&A on real estate, guys. So please ask your questions. Ask me your questions. Welcome to my life. Welcome. It's real estate Q&A. And today we are talking about infrastructure as a factor to consider when investing in real estate. So I want you to ask me questions on Anything. Ask, ask, ask. Hi guys, welcome to my life. This is real estate Q and A's. Please feel free to ask me any question when it comes to real estate. So today we are talking about infrastructure as one of the factors to consider when you are investing in real estate. So I want you all to ask me questions. Please ask me questions. Let me know what your pain points are when it comes to real estate investment. So let's rub mine. Let's know. Hi, welcome to my life. Welcome, 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 welcome. Welcome to my life. Today we're talking about infrastructure as one of the factors to consider when you're investing in real estate. So this is a Q and A session, so feel free to ask me any question. Let's know your pinpoint. I'm here. Hi guys, welcome to my life. This is your girl Anita. Today we're talking about infrastructure, and I'd like to know what your pain points are when it comes to infrastructure when you invest in real estate. So as I was saying, someone may want to say, "Oh, is infrastructure only about um, security, road network?" No, it's not. There are other um, things that also make up infrastructure in education. When we talk about infrastructure, we are also talking about schools, we are talking about churches, we are talking about mosques, we are talking about markets, we are talking about transportation system in a location because you cannot move to where you don't have means of transportation or alternative means of transportations or varieties when it comes to transportation. If you where if you're in a location or you're planning to invest, you should also consider what is the mode of transportation, what are the options available, what kind of um what kind of people live in those locations and all of that. And when it comes to markets too, you don't want to live in an environment where you don't have access to a good market, you know, or stores. You don't want to live in a place where you don't have a good hospital, a good clinic. You don't want to live in a place that doesn't have good recreational area, sport facilities, gym, schools for your children, both primary, crèche, secondary. Because of course, even if your families, your children are grown, of course, there are people too that their children are still, coming. You want to consider the type of schools they have there, who are the people that attend to those schools. You want to consider the church. Do they have church around there? Do they have mosques there? These are some of the things that makes you're living in an environment amazing. So you have to put all these things into consideration when you are thinking of buying real estate or investing in any location. It is very, very important. Apart from these things that I just mentioned, what about the electricity in the location? Do they have good power supply? How often do they have, how often does their lights, do they have blackouts? What is the consistency when it comes to light? How long does their light, like, especially if you're in business, if you want to do business in those locations. For example, if you're buying a property and you have plan of having a hospital, a supermarket, a pharmacy, or anything, maybe um, a plaza, if that location doesn't have good electricity, it becomes a bad business. Because if you build all those facilities, you will not be able to run them. They can't function because there is no good electricity in that location. So you want to consider how frequent or how good the electricity condition of that location is, because it's one of the things that also makes your investment look attractive and also helps you to appreciate your value. If the location has good electricity, I can assure you that anyone will want to live, because people want to have good electricity in their environment, in their neighborhood where they want their businesses. So electricity is also part of infrastructure. And also, I've spoken about government plans. I've spoken about developers' plans for the project in that area, or inside the project. Okay, spoken about um, government plans for the location. I've spoken about the developers' plan for the project, the estate. I've spoken about facilities like schools, hospitals, markets, mosques, pharmacies, markets, fitness centers, sports centers, recreational centers. And then I've also spoken about electricity, you know, when it comes to infrastructure. I've also spoken about road networks and connectivity, and I've also spoken about transportation. These are some of the things that makes a location attractive for both investment, for resale, for development, building, rental, commercial. These things are very, very, very important. And that is why I decided to dedicate today to talk about infrastructure and why it is very, very important. Some people don't even know, they just hear infrastructure, infrastructure. In fact, salespeople these days and marketers just they mostly use the word infrastructure, but I don't think they really understand, the extent or what infrastructure actually really means when it comes to real estate. That's why I'm taking my time today to explain it to to my people over here. And also, I think there's something I've not spoken about. When it comes to infrastructure too, there is something called landscaping and beautification. Yes. Why I want to include landscaping and beautification of an area as infrastructure, or one of the infrastructure for investors to look out for, is because the reason why Abuja looks beautiful, when you I know some of you have seen a drone shot of Abuja or some estates, some locations. They look really attractive when you have a drone shot. When you see a drone shot, they look really attractive. There's a reason why there is need for you to look at the landscaping and the beautification of a location, because you cannot come and live in a place where the developer, or a place that is not eco-friendly. When I say eco-friendly, what I mean is, do they have green areas? Do they have gardens? Do they have trees? Do they have flowers? Do they have um what's it called? Um, do they have walkways? Yeah, walkways. walkways within and outside the estate, because everybody cannot drive. Everybody cannot be using cars to move. Some people also want to, walk in and out around the environment. The walkways, the pavement, the the flower planting, the grasses, the trees within, the environment has a way of making the place habitable, eco-friendly. You'll be able to breathe in good air. You'll be able to breathe in healthy oxygen. These are some of the things as an investor you have to consider. If you go and live in a place that is too congested, if you invest in a place that doesn't really is not eco-friendly, I can assure you it can only take time before the people there, you or your family or whoever that will be buying living there in the future starts, experiencing health issues and health challenges. So that's why landscaping and beautification is very, very important. Beautification also has to do with the structural paintings. Yeah, structural painting, structural positioning, and then no, structural paintings. Let me just say structural paintings. Let me not go too in. Structural paintings. There is a uniformity when it comes to painting of structures. These things add beauty and serenity to an environment. And I've also spoken about the landscaping. So infrastructure is major when it comes to real estate. Hi, Investor Scope. Hi, Investor Scope. Hmm. So, hi, welcome, welcome, welcome. Please let me know where you're watching me from. Today we're talking about infrastructure. Infrastructure. That's what we are discussing today. We are discussing infrastructure when it comes to real estate investments, the importance of infrastructure, why you should consider infrastructure, because these are the things that add value to your investment. So, yeah, so let me just run us through the things I've spoken about. Infrastructure, we're talking about infrastructure and why it's a factor to consider when you're investing in real estate in a location. And I've spoken about government plans for the location, developers plan for the project or the estate. I've spoken about electricity and water supply infrastructure. I've spoken about hospitals, schools, markets, churches, malls, pharmacies, corner shops, and other plazas and other commercial, hubs and facilities in an area, gym centers, sports centers, recreational areas, gardens. I've spoken about that. I've also spoken about transportation, means of transportation, why it is important. And transportation also has to do with airports, rail lines or railways, um, bus transportation, and other means of transportation. These are maybe bus terminals, parks, yeah, parks, bus terminals in the area. So that's when it comes to transportation. How many bus terminals? Does the area have bus terminals? Is there an airport? Do they have parks, motor parks? Does the place have railway, train station, maybe taxi, commute, and other means of transportation. I've also spoken about the what else did I talk about? Um, I think I wrote it down here. Road networks. I've spoken about road network and accessibility, transportation, schools, hospitals, shopping centers, electricity, water supply, road networks. I'm talking about. So these are things that actually moves your investment from here to here. Yes, when these things are present, they help to they help your investment to grow, and they help you get more return on your investment. And also, when I spoke about road networks, major highways, bridges, I've also spoken about landscaping and beautification. Yeah, that too. These are some of the things you have to consider when you're. It's not just, oh, I'm buying land or I'm buying houses. Have you considered your ability, your security, your ability to thrive in that community peacefully, have access to all the things that makes your life easy, having access to the major roads. This is just what makes a community to thrive, to grow, and makes you have a more peaceful life. So that's